Can we see who shows up or not?
Can we see who shows up? You can look on the yeah, see, Chad's right there in the comments. Can you see that?
Nope. Chad is communicating with me directly, but I don't see.
Chad is communicating in the comment section, John.
Where is the comment section? There is no comment section.
Should be over on the right in your this is John's first journey into StreamYard. Oh, now John left the room. Hi, this is Paul. I'll do the introduction because John just locked himself out. John and I were going to be here today, and John just left the room because I told him he could look at the live chat because the ticket site for now he's coming back in.
You're making me push buttons and it all goes haywire. I do not see any kind of
over on the right, there should be some tabs. You can look at private chat and you can look at comments. If you click on comments, you can see comments.
Oh,
now he sees. All right, John. We're yeah. Does that guy know how to use a computer? He's learning.
Hey, I got into your live chat, did I not?
Well, John, we are live streaming today to make a big announcement.
Yes.
Down below in the notes, the link for tickets is available for all of you now. Some tickets went out. I can put it in the live stream too. Let's see. Well, John, let's talk about
this thing is asking me is I'm having issues.
You're always having issues, John. You mean, are you having internet issues?
No, it says down below here, having issues.
Oh, okay. Well, let it have its issues. If it drops out, it drops out. So let's get down to work here, Van Donk. I know if I'm ADHD, you're ADHD, and then we're not going to get anything done. Okay. I'm getting the same vibes from John that I get from Discord. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit. So tickets are available. The link is below. Let's first talk a little bit about the genesis of the conference and then what we did to put it together and then details of the conference. And so let's talk about the genesis of this conference, John.
Well, I remember this day. I have a very vivid memory of it. It was somewhat traumatic. I was unable to go to Thunder Bay because I stayed in England too long after I lost my passport.
After you thought you lost your passport.
After I thought I lost my passport. And so I decided to not go to Thunder Bay, a decision I regretted very much. But then the next time I saw you, after you had returned from Thunder Bay, you told me that you had a clear sense that what our Europe trip and the Thunder Bay experience added up to was a vision for reciprocal development and inspiration, where Estuary Hub conferences might inspire local estuaries to be formed, and the local estuaries create Estuary Hub events. And so this thing could take on a life of its own over a long period of time. We are at the very beginning. Thunder Bay was an important North American Estuary Hub event, and you, John, are next. And I said, oops. Yeah. Southern California is a great place. And you have the kind of relationship with your church where you can make that happen. And it's a very easily accessible place. Everybody's going to want to come to Southern California in the wintertime. Well, it was originally scheduled for March, but then our friend Jonathan Pageau had other commitments, couldn't make it. And we decided rather than to move forward without him, we postponed the meeting and the conference to May. So now it will still be beautiful weather in Southern California, but perhaps not any more beautiful than it is where you live or where other people live. No. So don't come for the weather. Come for the conference. Leave the weather to us.
Come for the conference, leave the weather to us. Okay. And yeah, so we had a terrific conference in Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay was not the easiest place to get to, which I think, from what I heard from a lot of people, we had a lot of Canadians who went, who came to the Thunder Bay conference. Only 10% of Americans own a passport. So, Griz had wanted to get across the border, but he was quite sure Canada would not let him in. The state of California can't deny Griz, so we are having it in the lower 48. So Griz can come to this. Now let's
Griz is waiting to be let in, by the way. It's not working for him.
It's not working for him.
That's what it says in the notes. It takes a computer illiterate to point that out.
All right. Well,
he says up above, pin it, PVK. It won't let me.
There's the link, Grim. So let's walk through the Grim ChrisCon 2023. So let's walk through the it's gonna start on the 18th of May. Oh, here he is. All right. There he is.
Hey, Grim.
No, the pin it was for the link to the tickets. I couldn't pin it as a moderator to the chat.
Oh, okay. Well, it's the 18th. We're going to have Paintball for Jesus. And I think just even seeing that is going to make some people say, what's going on? So, Grim, you are the originator of Paintball for Jesus. So why don't you explain a little bit what's going to happen on the 18th? And Donk can elucidate some of the details.
Well, the Paintball for Jesus event that's going to happen is as close as I've gotten everybody to do. But the actual notion for Paintball for Jesus is that the thrill of paintball is competitive with the super stimuli of video games. And there aren't enough young people in church. So if eventually churches sponsor paintball teams, that could be a beautiful union. And the notion that that's something that can be done by religious people is embraced by this event with the apparently up to 100 people paintball that's going to be happening that we're doing for Jesus. But
love it. Right on the money. I have a little anecdote to add to that, if I may, because I am dealing with some people at Crosspoint who are in charge of logistics and logistics interface, and make sure that the facilities are prepared for our arrival and so forth and so forth. So we had a meeting of that team, and I did mention that the meeting or that the conference was going to be preceded by Paintball for Jesus. And almost everyone there looked perplexed. And our pastor's secretary said, "Of course it is." And she totally got it because she says, yeah, every conference should be preceded by some heavy duty, very physical bonding experience. My boys are totally into that kind of stuff. And this is the kind of thing that you do when you want to get the energy out and get people to focus on something. So yes, Paintball for Jesus, A, as a bonding experience, B, to establish the continuity of the Estuary Hub Conference tradition. It started in Thunder Bay East, and we almost called this conference Thunder Bay West because it's going to have some great similarity. And thirdly, there is something liturgical about having this feature as a gathering experience. We gather together and we get all our angry energy out and we beat each other up with paintballs, and then we feel a lot better about each other as we come and share a meal together and then the conference proceeds from there. And John Vervaeke has already let it be known to me personally in a personal communication that because he can only arrive on Friday morning, he is incredibly disappointed, beyond belief disappointed, that he cannot be there on Thursday to be on the receiving end of you all's angry energy.
Pageau and I did paintball in Thunder Bay. I'll do it again. So I'm sure Pageau will too. He was a good sport. Nice.
Very good.
But Eamon put me in a big yellow outfit, so it was like shooting Big Bird. So.
Well, that's an honorary costume also associated with the liturgical manifestation of this pre-conference event.
Are you going to get me a big yellow? You're going to give me a yellow slicker too? I don't think we'll have the fogging and rain issues that we had in Thunder Bay. I'm sure our paint will be able to see clear-eyed for the paintball. How about you, Griz? You going to play paintball?
I don't know. If there's only 100 slots, I wouldn't want to steal one. However, I'd be happy to be strung up on a cross and shot with paintballs if an athletic supporter was provided and goggles.
Oh my. So that's May 18, Paintball for Jesus. Grim, you're welcome to stay or duck out. It's up to you. No,
he's got other important announcements to make, even way before Paintball for Jesus. Griz is going to jump into action.
I have jumped into action. Using social capital, I have secured reservations for 30 people at a campground that begins on the 17th so that you can arrive and get set up and then sleep and then attend paintball, and leaves on the checkout day is the 22nd, so you can be there for everything Sunday too. And still camp with us. What is the name of this campground? The name of this campground is the Mulberry Campground at the Prado Regional Park. I've recently shared on my Twitter a link to the Substack coverage that Marmalade put together. It's a work in progress. I've started a what do you call it? It's Give Send Go instead of a GoFundMe for if anybody wants to contribute to the comfort and care of people who show up there, because like I imagine people that fly in probably won't be able to bring their tents. So to the extent that we're facilitated, it'll be a more pleasurable experience. At the moment, there'll be a piece of ground you're allowed to sleep on, but it's reserved, and
for you. Yeah,
we're working toward it.
So it could be its own homeless encampment for a little. Although you will have access to a toilet and a shower. So
I slept on bare dirt when I was in Spain. Worked fine.
And at that campground, because I've spoken it into existence, we will form at least a 4-person musical group. We will dub the Anna Chino Signs and Wonders. So there will be a performance of Signs and Wonders at the campground. And if you're the kind of person that's drawn to these sort of things by celebrity appearances, both Chad and Moishi have expressed interest in attending the campground portion of the event. So you can do the Estuary Conference and then afterwards chill with me and Chad, apparently.
All right. Well, at the festival, the German festival, there was a lot of camping there too. There was camping in Thunder Bay, but it appeared that even our own hardy father Eric was rained out and had to seek refuge in some kindly Catholic home that took in the poor wet father. So I think the weather in Southern California will be far more hospitable.
But the festival in Germany, the campers who camped there also endured great hardship.
They did.
Because, quite frankly, we sent Job out to create access to our very fine lodging in Germany that was reserved for us, and he got back into the car soaking wet.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
There's a story there, but we will not tell it right now.
All right. So, Pareto Regional Park, it's too bad it's not spelled like the Pareto distribution, because, get a little wordplay going there. That's good. So,
How do you spell Pareto in Pareto distribution?
With an E and an I and a T. But I'd like to throw out there also that I forgot what it was now. Never mind. I'll remember in a minute. Oh, it's no. Sorry.
All right. So the 17th, you can come and you can camp, and the experience can start then. Are you leading a caravan from the middle of the country, Grim? Have you gotten that? Have you gotten that far in the planning?
Well, budgeted in the give, send, go plans are transportation back and forth, but it's apparently only 3 miles, so we might be waking up at dawn and hiking down the highway. You mentioned people had camped at previous events, and that was the thing. I've been placed in charge of the camping experience for this event, and over the course of my life, I've been camping perhaps 4 times. So anyone familiar with camping and or the needs of a group camping environment or things I should be aware of and watch out for, please get in touch with me and warn me. I really have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm trying my best.
I think the Pareto Regional Park in Chino, California on South Euclid Avenue will be a very hospitable place. You won't have to fight bears or mountain lions or anything like that. I think it'll literally be a walk in the park.
And bring your fishing rod. Fishing is excellent.
Oh, look at that. So Grim, are you flying to Southern California, or are you riding in on a Colt?
I have no idea how the Lord's going to get me there, Paul, but I suspect that since I'll be trying to bring a quantity of supplies, I will be in my own vehicle and road tripping.
All right.
From here to there.
Well, I would encourage people to find ways of getting in that work for you. For example, when I went to Thunder Bay, I flew into Minneapolis, and then Luke and his friend lovingly gave me a ride from Minneapolis to Thunder Bay, so that I not only got a chance to do the Thunder Bay Conference, I also had about 10 hours in the car with Luke. And so that was just a bonus add-on.
So Paul, that is a little bit longer than it would take you to drive from Sacramento to Southern California. I do that regularly, and I can do it in 7. But is it not an option for all kinds of people who want to spend time with you to just fly into Sacramento, and then you will take them on the bus that you will procure to Southern California?
Didn't I already purchase my tickets to fly into the lovely Ontario airport?
You can give those tickets to somebody else.
I have, in fact, part of me in my mind is going back and forth on flying versus driving, because it would be fun to drive down. We'll have to see once our own little group here in Sacramento decides what they want to do. I think Rick is driving down and is taking his pickup truck. But Ontario is I think a lot of people fly into LAX if they're coming from a great distance, just because they'll get cheaper tickets. In California, it's just super easy to fly into Ontario. But
Speaking of flights, when I was looking at it, there was an airport called John Wayne nearby. Is there reasons people don't use that one we should know about?
Well, Ontario is significantly closer by than John Wayne. And so that is kind of a 3rd-tier airport that serves well the people that live in Orange County. But there is a canyon between Orange County and the Inland Empire that kind of has some traffic snarls and bottlenecks. So it's not as convenient to get to Chino from John Wayne as it would be from Ontario.
Yeah.
If you can get a super cheap flight to one of those airports, by all means, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like $40 from Vegas to John Wayne. So I was like, what?
Yeah. There are all these little airports in Southern California that you can get good deals into sometime. But if you're flying in from a distance LAX will probably have the best deals, but it's a little ways from Chino. So
60 miles.
All right. Okay. Any other details, Grim, that you've got to lay on us?
I could use any moral, spiritual prayer support for the organization of this event, because I truly have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm embracing the responsibility as if it's a growth opportunity.
All right. Well,
I thank you for it, John.
I would recommend, Grim, that you put together a team of, and I'm sure you'll figure out what to call this team, but put together a team who are going to help make this thing a reality. And again, it's a conference like this. I learned this fairly early on. All y'all can watch me and Pageau and Vervaeke yak it up on YouTube. That's not hard to find, and you can watch free. But the real beauty of a conference like this is getting together with the other people that you've been getting to meet on YouTube and camping with them, spending time in a car with them, spending time over meals with them. That's the beauty of this thing. And so contact Griz if you're interested in camping. If you're driving in or you people want a carpool, that just makes the adventure just get better and better.
If anybody has an RV, the Prado has RV things available, but since that's out of my league, I'm not handling it, but I will be happy to coordinate with anybody who takes over that portion. I look forward to having my heart feel the vibrations of y'all's laughter.
There will be laughter.
There will be laughter. Oh, yes.
I can promise you that.
I assume you're going to walk us through the schedule of events now, and I'll just pop out to the audience and view that with them. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Griz.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
back to the Paintball for Jesus. I noticed that somebody, Joe, I think Joe Workman, asked about ammunition. And actually, that is all included in the experience. So the paintball experience will include your instructions, your clothing, weaponry, protective gear.
Oh, protective gear. Yeah.
Protective gear, your armament and your ammunition. And I picked a package with a very generous ammunition so you can shoot at Paul a lot.
What is the additional cost for the paintball?
$60.
Okay.
And you have to register for that at the time you buy your ticket. If you don't, it is almost impossible to register for paintball subsequently. And I don't have another mechanism by which I can do that on the side. But it is, in fact, I was going to ask Jason. Jason, I don't know if you're listening to this, but you need to hack into this software system and change it to our liking, because it's not doing what I want it to do.
Okay.
I very much wanted the people to be able to decide later on if they want to do paintball for Jesus, but now it appears that you can only register for the conference and immediately following, as part of that one experience, also sign up for Paintball for Jesus. And we're going to all jump in the bus after we leave the paintball SE Village there and go and have pizza at Graziano's, and you have to sign up for that also. So that's going to be an additional $10. And I kind of think I didn't know quite how to do that. It is a separate eating event that is not for the whole conference, only for the people that do paintball. So I figure I'll just purchase that separately, and but I'm expecting that everybody will contribute that, and then I can just tell the pizza guy to put a whole bunch of pizza on the table and make it easy.
Okay. At Thunder Bay, the paintball tickets, they had 60 of them, and that also had a barbecue. It was a cookout, hamburgers and hot dogs and things like that. That sold out right away. In fact, that sold out almost immediately in Thunder Bay, and we had a great time. And so that's the 18th, and then the 19th, the conference starts, and We don't have the details of the 19th and 20th worked out yet, but John and I will work on that. It'll be similar to Thunder Bay in that there'll be main talks being given by each of us, and there will be breakout times, and we're going to have some estuary type processes involved. Kathryn Wilson will once again be the moderator on stage. John will be sharing some of his story. And the theme of the conference is the quest for a spiritual home. We came to that theme, myself and John Donk and John Vervaeke and Jonathan Pageau and Kathryn. We had a Zoom meeting where we talked through a bunch of these things. Coming up in April, there will be another Zoom meeting with myself and John Donk, and there's way too many Johns in this group, John Vervaeke and Jonathan Pageau and Kathryn, and we are going to do a Zoom conversation to get the dialogos going on the quest for a spiritual home. And that, of course, will be on YouTube, and everyone will get a chance to see it. I anticipate that the conference might, in fact, be sold out by that point already, but you never know. There are how many slots, John?
300 total.
Okay. And why don't you talk a little bit about what's happened with
Early bird discount tickets.
Yeah.
Because
Tell
we
me
were going to
about
do that. Yeah. Well,
there are two
early
different
bird
prices here.
What's that?
They said there are two different prices here.
Yes, and once upon a time, the discounted tickets were called the early bird discount tickets, and I had once upon a time thought that whoever shows up early could snatch those, so that we would have a little bit of cash in the bank from which to pay airline tickets and various expenses that needed to be paid up front. But then it occurred to me, and it actually came from a conversation I had with you, Paul, when we talked about, there are going to be some people for whom this conference is pretty pricey, and then you add the transportation and the lodging, and it's going to take a little chunk out of their pocketbook, and that $50 difference might just be the make or break point when you say, I really cannot afford it at the full price. At the discounted price, I could consider it, but at the full price, nah, not really. Well, what I propose to do now is to have all of you who can easily afford the full price, which is still, by the way, very inexpensive, given the fact that you're going to have 5 full meals and 4 days of activity. So to be able to pay the full price, if you're able to pay the full price, then pay the full price. And that way you leave room for other people who might find it a little bit more difficult to take advantage of the discounted price, which is $219.
Okay. So those of you who can afford the full price, please pay the full price and leave those discounted tickets to those who perhaps are just sort of don't know if they can afford this conference. And I know $50 is just only a part of the total cost, but John was able to work that into the budget. Maybe we should just run through the event information here. Once again, it will be Tuesday, May 18, 2023. 12 p.m. is Paintball for Jesus. That's noon, correct, John? That's when the paintball starts?
That's when the bus leaves the venue to go to the paintball court.
Okay, so anybody coming has to plan on being there for paintball Tuesday, May 18 at noon at the Crosspoint Church in Chino. Those who are coming just for the conference begins the
9 a.m. the next day.
9 a.m. the next day. And let's see, Kathryn will be the moderator. There'll be 100 people who sign up for the now obligatory liturgical Paintball for Jesus, which will happen May 18, starting noon, followed by dinner at Graciano's Pizza, $60 additional plus food. Please decide whether you want to add Paintball for Jesus at the same time you register for the conference. Due to software limitations, it is complicated to add it later. Well, let's talk. So the 19th and 20th, we'll have events. We'll be speaking. There'll be breakout groups. There'll be all of this sort of thing. We're going to have within it, one of the things so after Thunder Bay, we talked to a fair number of people about, okay, what did you like about the conference? What could have been better about the conference? One of the things that people said was that they had wished, that's right, Thursday, May 18, not Tuesday. That's correct. One of the things they said, they wish there was more time for people to meet each other and discuss together. Now, at the Thunder Bay conference, there were some gathering times in the evening later, but they weren't structured at all. So we're going to integrate into the program also structured times for breakout groups that will be in some ways similar to estuary meetings, but obviously a much more compressed format, because an estuary meeting takes an hour to 2 hours and this will be smaller. But the point will be that it won't just be an opportunity to listen and then maybe for a half dozen people to proffer half questions, half statements at the end of a talk, but there'll be chance for people to sort of chew on what's been said and think about.
And I hope that those small group experiences will, for the most part, be facilitated by ELSNet participants and ELSNet members, people who have gone through the training, are familiar with the ELSNet protocol, but also know how to modify that for different purposes. We have people do that all the time, apparently. And so that's why I made the tickets available to ELSNet leaders first, even before this illustrious event with you, Paul. I sent a letter out to all my ELSNet peeps and gave them an opportunity to buy tickets, and quite a few of them did already. So for some of them, what we're discussing here is already a done deal and old hat. So they will be the ones I'm going to enlist their participation and cooperation in making those small groups happen according to some modified estuary protocol.
So, and the purpose of that is because you've got some tyrannical project that you wish to force on the world, or what, John? To facilitate?
No. You said there should be more engagement with one another.
Right.
So I'm providing the services of the estuary leadership ELSNet community to make that a possibility, because these people do this all the time. They're all involved in their own home territory with their own estuary groups in their own neighborhood. And so they are very familiar with how to rally a group of strangers or people that have never met each other, and to engage them, or to set the framework, the conversational framework, to discuss something.
Right.
And while we're not starting with brand new stuff, from scratch to be put on the table, we're going to be starting with whatever they just heard in the prior presentation, and let that be the starting point for the conversation. But the format and we'll still do a circle of sorts. We'll have quick introductions and then say, well, what did you hear? Well, this is what I heard. 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 Well, what do you want to focus on as a group? Let's figure that out together.
And this has precedence, because in the event that you and I were at, where I was talking with Paul Kingsnorth,
right,
we did a similar thing with that event, where we broke the entire place down into smaller groups, and that was quite effective. I was quite moved by the kinds of conversations they were having in Ireland about religion and sort of what has happened to the Catholic Church in Ireland, Protestants in Ireland, and in fact there was one member of the clergy who came to the conference, and he told me going out the door after the conference, he said, if you had told me that a group of random strangers in Ireland would be able to have a conversation like this on a subject like this before this conference, I never would have believed it. Because it's a very, the religious context in Northern Ireland is obviously very complex, but we had mixtures of all sorts of people having, I think, some really substantive conversations in those breakout groups. And because the purpose of a conference right here is not to simply listen to, theoretically, let's talk about the quest for a spiritual home. A conference like this should be for participants part of their quest for a spiritual home. And so having processes like this during the day, I think will just enhance the conference and help people work on their stuff.
And if in connection, if in that process, and if in that context, people get the realization that, hey, these kinds of conversations can happen anywhere. I can facilitate a conversation like this in my neighborhood, at my church, at a bar that I regularly go to. Then I would say, then very organically, the possibility of more estuaries arising from this conference would be a pretty cool thing. And I would welcome the people who want to lead those conferences to join us on ELSNet. Yes. Not that I want to put in a plug for ELSNet, but I mean, since you forced my hand about this, there you go.
And ELSNet is exactly what, John?
The Estuary Leader Support Network.
And what does it do? What does it involve?
It meets twice a month online, and the people who participate compare notes with one another about how to start groups on the ground, but they also practice the estuary protocol to have actual conversations about meaningful things online. And our estuary conversation is only a relatively small part thereof.
And that meets twice a month. And if somebody is interested in ELSNet, starting their own estuary, you can find that information at estuaryhub.com. And if anybody hasn't watched my conversation that I had with Jordan Daniel Wood today, you'll note that it ended on that, because one of the things, Nate, of course, really wanted me to talk to Jordan Wood. And I was like, well, I'm going to talk to this academic who wrote this complex book about Maximus the Confessor. And I understand why that's hot stuff, because Pageau always talks about Maximus, but Nate said, no, you should really talk to Jordan. He's very down to earth. And he was very down to earth. And I thought my conversation with Jordan was really excellent. And we sort of, again, met each other as kindred spirits, having a sense of the church needs to be able to host these kinds of conversations. And in fact, these need to be all over the place. And so that's the reason for ELSNet, and it's the reason for Estuary. And this conference is a part of this. And again, as John noted when we started, part of my vision is that not only will we have estuaries where people can, in fact, participate in these kind of conversations on a regular basis, but estuaries themselves can facilitate these kinds of conferences and broader events, which will sort of bring it up to another level and feed the estuary process. So this is, so we've had a few of these conferences. We would be remiss not to mention the group in Chicago that is doing this annually with some smaller conferences. I was at their conference last year. We had the festival in Germany that went on, and Matthias and Cassidy are continuing to think about subsequent events there. Marcus Connolly from the More Christ channel is doing more and more conferences, and we sort of gave him a vision for estuary in his place. Thunder Bay grew up without an estuary, but I think Eamon and Kathryn would like to do more conferences, and now we're doing Southern California. And as Chezi was here, at least initially, he wants to remind everybody that in 2024, he would love to have something in Israel in 2024, which will include tours for those who are curious about sites that are important for the Jewish faith and sites that are important about the Christian faith. And so the goal of all of this is not simply to produce internet content with thinky-talky stuff. The goal of this is to have in-person meetings and relationships that can, in fact, help people in their quest for a spiritual home. So, all right, let's talk about. Yeah, there's after my conversation with John Vervaeke, there are a lot of other speakers that we would like to participate in this too. It's difficult figuring out. You can't, if you have too many speakers, it gets diluted. And we're also having a sense of how to grow this thing bit by bit. Jacob said we should have done this on the campus of USC for 1,000 people. I thought, I'm not quite sure we're ready for that yet. We'll see if we can sell 300 tickets to this thing. But part of the plan, that's right. Well, part of the plan of this is that, let's say, Nate up in the Pacific Northwest says, I want to see my estuary put together a conference, and our estuary group is going to decide who gets, who we're going to have on stage. And so I could very much see Nate's group, Grail Country, could be a Grail Country event. You can brand it that way and have Jordan Wood in there.
Maximus may show up.
and the idea is that, it's not always going to be PVK and Pageau and Vervaeke. Add some different people. We had a terrific conversation, I think, with Jordan B. Cooper. And so there are a lot of different people who can participate in these kinds of events. And the goal of this is to facilitate these kinds of events. Some events will be larger, some events will be smaller. And the group that decides to put together an event is the group that gets to decide who's going to be on the stage and how the event is going to run. So that's
but not whether there will be paintball for Jesus.
Well, every group will have to put that together themselves, but that's becoming quite traditional now. So I don't know if they do paintball in Europe, do they? They might be a little squeamish about
weapons,
our gun-loving North American culture. So let's talk a little bit, John, about food. So in Thunder Bay, you got a little bit of a gift card because they had a little coffee shop there, so you could buy a little something for coffee there. And then lunch was provided, but dinner you were on your own. Why don't you talk about the way food's going to go with this, John?
Okay, so we have Friday night and Saturday night dinner catered in. We have Saturday morning breakfast organized by a local Boy Scout troop who are going to feed us full breakfast, pancakes, eggs, bacon, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
It's going to be a fundraiser for them, so you're paying a little extra, I'm sorry to say, but it's included in the price, and I agreed to their exorbitant rates. These are little Dutch boys that know how to make money. But there will be a decent and fast-served breakfast on Saturday morning.
Okay.
On the 2 lunch periods are going to be provided by a group of women at Crosspoint Church who are really, really good at this, and they love doing it. And I gave them complete green light to do whatever they want to do and send me the bill. So,
okay.
And on Sunday morning, there will be, I haven't spoken about this yet because it will come later, but there will be a super light, probably muffins and a half a banana kind of breakfast served at the church to the people that will attend that particular event.
Okay.
So the cost of all these meals is included in the price. And no, there will not be any taco trucks. So, hey, Eric, don't let the cat out of the bag.
Father Eric knows how churches work. So food will be provided. So all you do have to do is get to the conference. Food is included in the price, and
the serving, like the food. The serving of the catered meals will also be organized by the funeral ladies because they know how to move a crowd of old people around fast.
All right. So food is included. Let's talk a little bit about lodging.
So lodging is problematic in as much as there are no hotels of any kind within reasonable walking distance of the church. It may turn out that the Prado camping crowd is going to be the closest to the venue of all lodging.
Oh, okay.
There is, however, a really nice hotel, and you have it marked there, I believe. Yeah, right there.
Yep.
I reserved 30 rooms for their discounted price, and they were eager to provide that for us, the Ayres Hotel. And so if you snatch those up, the one thing that I was sort of hoping would happen is that people would get together on that, and then the cost per night, you can put a few people in beds and a few people on the ground. And I was told that they don't monitor occupancy rate very closely in that hotel. But I didn't hear that from any hotel official.
All right.
Nobody at the hotel said, go ahead and load it up. But
Now, at Thunder Bay, a number of people did get Airbnbs in Thunder Bay and did it that way. So that's certainly a possibility. Again, if you can find a group to get together and split an Airbnb, that can be. If you're going to get some of the reserved rooms at the hotel, make sure you call the hotel, and there's a phone tree. And the first thing on the phone tree is, one, to make a reservation. Don't hit that, because that will just send you to the corporate site. Hit 0, which will send you to the front desk. And then when you call, say, I'm part of the Estuary Chino Conference, and then they will give you one of those reserved rooms and give you the special rate. So that's what you want to do to stay at this #1 hotel in Chino Hills on TripAdvisor. There you go.
Right. And the challenge here is, and there's always a downside to everything. The challenge is that it is about 5 miles from the church. So I have contemplated all the different ways in which I can help people get from their hotels to the church. But if we're going to, move people to all kinds of different hotels, there are less expensive hotels in the area. There are also very much more expensive hotels in the area. So if you want to bring your family and let them all stay in a fancy beach hotel while you attend the conference, then there is that possibility. But I am not able to think through the logistics of transporting everyone around from all different hotels and Airbnbs and campsites to the church. So I made the seemingly callous decision to let all you mature, responsible adult people figure that out for yourself.
Okay.
We do have Uber.
You probably haven't thought about this. The Thunder Bay Conference, you can start a Discord server for 0 money. And so the Thunder Bay Conference started a Discord server for their conference. If someone would like to volunteer to set that thing up, I think that would be helpful. And we can put a lot of this information on that Discord server. And that will also let people who sign up for the conference coordinate with each other. You'll probably want to do carpools from the hotel and carpools from the campground, and
Carpools
maybe find people to get from the airport, find Airbnbs, et cetera, et cetera. A little bit of a lot of people Southern California is this massive area, and Chino Hills is what's called the Inland Empire. Is it not, John? And I don't know if you want to say anything about this area. So that's why if you fly in, so here's Southern California, and LAX is way over here.
Yep.
Burbank Airport is up here. Santa Ana, that's the John Wayne Airport that Griz was talking about. Southern California is known for its traffic, but it is, there are obviously a lot of services. It's a major metropolitan area. Anything you want to say generally about flying into there or getting public transportation into the area, John?
If you are looking to buy tickets to Southern California and you need to get to Chino, and it is $20 cheaper to fly into Los Angeles than it is to fly into Ontario International Airport, ONT. If it's $20 cheaper to fly to LAX, don't do it. Fly into Ontario, because it will cost you $20 to get from LAX to Chino. So make sure that you calculate the distance after you arrive at the airport into the cost of your total travel expense, because it may still be more economical to fly into Ontario. And Ontario has connections, easy connections with Denver, Dallas, Minneapolis, Chicago. There's flights going to all the major hubs everywhere. We even have a direct connection between Sacramento and Ontario in case the bus doesn't drive.
All right. Good. Any other logistics, John, that we should talk about? We talked about transportation. We talked about lodging. We talked about camping. We talked about paintball.
I'm not handing out tickets on lanyards. They're weird. You're all going to get a little bracelet so that we know that you have paid for your meal, and we're not feeding all the homeless in California.
Oh, that's good, because that's a lot of homeless. All right. So any questions? Show the closeness of Pareto Regional. This is Grimm's. Let's go back to the map. What I do with my map. Pareto Regional, Euclid Avenue. So there's the park, and the church. The church is right over there. So the church.
Yeah, it's 4.5 miles, I believe.
Yeah,
or
and
4
it's
miles.
just right up the road, because the church is on Euclid, isn't it?
Yes, it also is.
Yeah, so it's super easy to get to. The park is very close, so camping will be a terrific way to go. Are there more campgrounds around too, John, or is
no?
that's just the closest?
Prado is pretty much it. I mean, you're going to end up becoming. There's another campground in the canyon, along the 91 further south from the map that you're looking at right now. There is a campground along the Santa Ana River there by what is it called? Can't think of the name right now. Okay, but it's right down there on the southern end of that green zone, right where the green crosses the 91 freeway. To your left, right. Yep. There. Yep. Yeah, right there.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Anyone have questions? Questions in the chat that anyone wants to post? Dum 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 dum. I will put the link. What?
Screwtape asks if the California Institute of Men have spare rooms. Now that is actually a super good question.
What is the California Institute of Men?
That's an institute for men. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we going to be institutionalized by this institute?
That's the state prison in Chino.
Oh. All right. So I have just dropped the StreamYard link into the chat. So if anybody wants to come in and discuss something or ask something in person, this is not time for general comments or not time for general conversation. But if it's connected to this event, you can click the link and jump in and ask your question in person too. Just give people a minute to see if they want to do this.
Are we also going to be talking about the Sunday?
Oh, talk about the Sunday, John.
Because that whole thing has pretty much come together beautifully. As I mentioned earlier, there will be a light breakfast served on the Crosspoint campus. John Vervaeke will do a meditation time at 7:00 in the morning on Sunday, immediately following that light breakfast. The church service starts at 9:30, and you apparently are going to be our guest preacher for that Sunday. I know that that's news to you, looking from the look on your face, but you're going to be asked to preach, Paul. So
I will preach.
So, and then we will have a situation that I haven't completely resolved yet. It may involve more money, but there will be a speaker lunch. And then at 2:00, we will be expected, which means we will be leaving at 1:30 in buses. Whoever wants to go to participate in Jonathan Pageau showing us around St. Andrew's Orthodox Church in Riverside, which is a fairly new Orthodox church, but beautifully appointed. Some of you may be familiar with Father John Trenum, who is the senior pastor there, and or the head priest, as he calls himself. And yeah, there you go. And we have been warmly welcomed, and Father Josiah was quite pleased that Jonathan Pageau would come to his church and show a bunch of our conference attenders around in his church. We'll do that on Sunday afternoon. The bus would leave at 1:30 and probably be back around 4 or so, thereabouts.
Okay. So this will, in Thunder Bay, Jonathan Pageau gave us an introduction to iconography, talked about the right hand and the left hand. This will be the opportunity to go into an Orthodox church, and I'm very much looking forward to this, because I mean, I could walk in this building and I could see things and have thoughts, but to have Jonathan, do ladies need to wear head coverings, John Van Donk?
I don't know about that. I think so, but I know that the men will not be permitted to have head covering, and also will not be permitted to wear shorts. They actually provide sweats there for people who are non-compliant, but you will not be permitted into the sanctuary without meeting their constraints, requirements for access into the sacred place.
Okay,
it's a sacred place for them.
Okay. So, and I'm very much looking forward to, Father Eric, are you going to make it to this one? We'll see.
Oh, less quick on the draw right now.
Yeah. Father Eric was, and Father Eric, I talked about how you got rained out. Oh, good. Oh, we've got someone coming into the stream.
Hey there.
Hey there, Chad.
Yeah. Hey, so I was wondering, are you going to have a documentary crew there at all doing anything?
Yes, and we're going to hold that close to the vest for a long time, probably longer than the German festival crew did, to make sure that nobody will be tempted to not come to the conference, because they'll be able to see it, the content on video shortly thereafter. That's not happening.
Well, not just that though, but I mean, will they be documenting, say, maybe even stuff, not just the speakers, but like the event?
Like Justin Wells.
I'll be talking to Justin on Tuesday. I'll ask him about that.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Think about it, something where it's like, because the way, it'd be really cool if you could capture the hype that we feel right now.
Mm-hmm.
I know that'd be really hard to do, but something like that. So
yeah.
How do you like my tile I've done here? Huh?
That tile's looking good there, Chad.
Yeah.
Chad, will you be wearing that mask when you do Paintball for Jesus?
No, I'll probably bring it, but like when I went to the Chicago event, I didn't bring it. I'm not gonna, but maybe, I don't know, if something happens for chits and giggles, maybe I'll bring it. But other than that, I have to still pack a tent and a sleeping bag and get that on a plane, and possibly a guitar. And so I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah.
All right.
Otherwise, I don't need much clothes. I just need like 2 pairs of pants and a couple shirts, and I'll be fine. 1 pair of underwear, 1 pair of socks, maybe sandals.
Yeah, people will love camping with you.
So, no, I just wanted to say thank you, John, and of course Paul. But John, you really outdid yourself, man. I'm really grateful for you, and I want you to know that. And I wish that this mask wasn't on, so I could just tell you that in a way that's more sincere. So
I hear it in your voice, so it's all good.
All right, wonderful. Thank
you,
you, Chad.
Yeah.
Now, oops, wrong one. We already had that one. Where is it? will the conference produce videos like Thunder Bay did in terms of after?
We plan on recording everything.
Okay. All right. Good. Ontario is a solid connection on Southwest. I usually, when I fly into Ontario, I usually fly in there on Southwest. Just looking for any other comments or questions in the chat. To quote Natalie Wood, Chino Chino gets a hard time from people sometimes, but Chino's lovely.
Is the question why Chino a serious question?
I don't know. Well, you might as well answer it.
That's where I'm at.
There you go.
My church is there.
Yeah.
The venue was readily available.
Yeah. I'm sure, given the proliferation of cell phones, there will be other videos flying around. And again, we'll get together. Hopefully, we'll get together a Discord server for this, so that people can. What's one of the things that happened at Thunder Bay? People were able to share photographs and all sorts of things on the Discord server. It's a really nice way to share things. Documentary folks on event will require a press pass through me. All right. So see Griz for your press pass. Camping with the homeless. Well, that someday if we do a conference at Living Stones, there might be camping with the homeless.
Yeah, that would be so cool, because you have the space for quite a lot of camping on that campus. We have the same space, but for some reason, the facilities committee would not let us use that space. For camping.
We currently don't have space for camping because we have all these fallen trees in that space, but Lord willing, they will be removed at some point. Griz says Jesus ate with prostitutes and have 27 more slots to fill. There you go, Griz. Chad says, if people want to send me videos of their experience, I will make a documentary. So we could have multiple documentaries made in due time. All right.
Tayo is praying. I love that.
Is PVK going to baptize Griz after the event? In the Christian Reformed Church, we baptize people into church membership. So, Griz, you move to Sacramento, I'll be happy to baptize you. If you haven't been baptized already. Christian Reformed Church does not do rebaptism. And apparently I made a comment about that on the Orthodox Church, and I got an email from a Orthodox priest that says this question about rebaptism in the Orthodox Church is a hot topic. So that was a very interesting thing. All right. Okay. Anything else that we need to cover? Any more questions in the comments? Otherwise, we will continue this conversation. We'll continue the planning. Like I said, tickets are available right now online in the notes below. And again, be sure to buy the Paintball for Jesus tickets with the right away when you purchase the tickets.
And the pizza.
That's pretty important. And the pizza. You get that all together. I'm just looking for, here's the link to, I'll just put that back in the comment. Here's the link again to the event for those of you who have difficulty finding it. All right. Are we done, John?
Yeah, I can't think of anything in particular that we should add. I'm hoping that the musical band that's going to gather at the campground will practice enough that they can make an appearance later at the conference. So that would be good.
That would be good. That would be good. All right. Very good. Well, and then perhaps we should land the plane if there's nothing else we can think of and no other questions in the group. So thank you. One love.